Hi, and welcome to my channel. This is where I share my insights, and today I'd like to talk about the idea of struggling to make ends meet and the myth of supporting yourself. It's very difficult to talk about supporting yourself as a myth when you have bills to pay and expenses. And so we're going to talk about it on a much more expanded sense of consciousness, which might help clear up this so-called struggle to make ends meet. So if you are struggling to make ends meet, I want to open your eyes to the myth of having to support yourself. So I hope you'll listen to what I have to say. The hard truth, if I am going to be so blunt, is that existence is effortless. And you're not sure what it means to support yourself. And how do I arrive at something like that? Well, I am the universe. I see myself as no different than the universe. And so if I contemplate the universe as a whole, I'll ask myself, what is the universe doing to make a living? What bills does it have? How much does it cost to support the universe? And is the universe struggling to make ends meet? Now, this little presentation will make no sense to you if you think that you are different than the universe. This will make no sense to you if you feel like you live in the universe. But I think the universe lives in you. And that's really what the universe is. An inner realm that's dreamed up. Somehow, we find ourselves in a dream and we don't realize it. So the question is, does the dream have a power over the dreamer? Because you are hallucinating your reality, or what you see as reality. And so the question becomes, does my image and likeness have a power over me? Because that's what this rendered experience is. It's a printout of the universe. And I told you, the universe exists in you. And I wouldn't even call it exists. It just is in you. So it is you. And so we're trying to make ends meet by figuring out, is there a difference between the observer and the observed? And if you're the universe, there is no difference between the observer and the observed. And that which perceives itself to be an observer looking at the world is not real. The real world is the kingdom within. And that real world is whole, full, complete, abundant, stable, needs nothing, is everything, and doesn't need to make a living to exist. It exists on its own power. It exists on its own infinite intelligence. It really doesn't move. The universe doesn't go anywhere, although it feels as though it's expanding, and it looks like it's doing things. It's doing everything right now. So the universe is a noun in many ways of looking at it. But it's also a verb. It's a process. And so I'm a noun and a verb too. But I'm primarily a verb, a moving thing. Hard to pin down. A process, if you will, that appears to have its own will. And what you call struggling to make ends meet is a confusion over a very simple process that we call breathing. You are confused whether or not you should breathe yourself, or if you should just leave it alone and let yourself breathe. And the people who have decided to let themselves breathe easy. We don't struggle to make ends meet. I'm not wondering every single time I inhale if there's going to be air. I left that behind. So the ends meet easily when I don't interfere and thrash around. So we must give up on this illusion that there's something called voluntary control. And what I'm recommending to you is to give way to the water that you're in, this oceanic consciousness that you are in, but that you are. See, because there's no difference between you and the outside world. The outside world is a projection or a hologram of the real world. And so I'm trying to point to the real world. And everybody who might disagree with this is saying I need to think realistically. And I am saying think illogically. Think deeper than that. And you'll make ends meet with great ease and abundance. Because if you expand your consciousness from the little old me that sits behind your head, behind your eyes, and then the me just dangles from that spot, you'll realize there are no separate events, no separate people, no separation at all. And struggling to make ends meet is something we call despair, which creates an image of two, despair. Me and the universe, me and God, me and myself. And a baby has no sense of that. And what I like to do is think, when did the so-called universe hand you the keys and say, all right, now you're on your own, buddy. I brought you here against your will. You don't know, you just popped into this world. I gave you a mother for 18 years, and now you got to fend for yourself. So now you're at the top of the food chain. And you're in this position of, okay, now I'm on my own. And people who struggle to make ends meet believe themselves to be on their own. I believed I was on my own for a long time, until I realized I was the universe. And I thought to myself, okay, the universe is not struggling to make ends meet. The universe is in harmony. The universe has a karma balance sheet of 0. It's the cause and the effect. So everything that appears as a circumstance is an outpicturing of something very special inside of me that I'm wanting to point your attention to. And the survivalist mentality of how am I going to make ends meet and how am I going to support myself is this accentuation of alienation and separation from the universe itself. That there's a person having to be on their own. And so this is the person who sees a Western worldview of the universe as being a construct made by a creator who seems to have disappeared mysteriously from the creation itself. And so we have to deconstruct our lives to figure out how we got here, how we're going to breathe, how we're going to circulate our blood, how we're going to make the world move. Because the creator of the world is strangely absent from it. And I'm saying that creature and creation are not different. Creature and environment are the same. You could see the universe in the Chinese way, as nature being of itself, that nature is an organism. The whole thing is an organism. Or you can see it in a playful way, like the Hindus, that this is a drama, an unfolding drama, being played by the same actor. So, there are many ways of seeing yourself. That's what I'm saying. You can see yourself as an individual part that's on its own, completely disconnected from the wholeness of the universe itself. And God made you, and God is strangely absent from you and separate from you. If you think about that, people who believe that there is an absent creator from the creation have painted an image of a God in the sky, which looks like the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, where God is touching the finger of Adam. Whereas I understand myself to be my thoughts, my concepts, my circumstances are images and likeness of me, my real world, my inner world. Jesus called it the kingdom of heaven. Some people call it the universe. Some people call it the oneness. Some people call it the Buddha. The Christ principle is repeatable. See, Jesus had this colossal revelation that he was the universe, and he called it the Father. He referred to this real world as the kingdom of heaven. And this world, this outer world, is second to it, and that you can overcome it. And in the kingdom of heaven, it's all supported. And what it would look like is that you simply trust that you move and breathe and have your being by a part of you can't see, touch, hear, smell, or taste. It's a resonance. It's a transcendence. And few of us trust in the part of us that breathes easy. We got to interfere with the breathing. So those people feel like they have to run the world. And that gets exhausting. Looking for how to make ends meet is like trying to find the steps of your life before you actually have to live them. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And so that's our version of reality, these predictions of how we're going to do things, how we're going to support ourselves, and blah, 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 blah. That's the real world to people. And I'm saying that's a model of the real world. The real world is quiet and goes as it goes. But you can have what you want if you give yourself way to the water, which will flow exactly to where you want to be without a blueprint. It's going somewhere, but it has no encumbrances. Why? Because you're the way, you're the map. And so when you want something, let's say you want money, you want a new partner, you want a transformation of a body, you want a new home, you want a new job, whatever. That's the universe. That's the real world. Just that. The desire is you. There's no difference between you and your desire. There's no person who has a desire. The desire itself is as innocent and freely given as a thought, a concept, a feeling, or whatever arises from the field. So when you want something, it's yours. More likely, a better way to say that is if you want something, it's your likeness, your image. It is you. And a desire might be considered like a thought. It's a form already. It's a thing already that is begotten of you, so it is you. And what does that include? It's like having an acorn that just pops up into your inner world. The acorn includes everything that the oak tree needs. The time, the soil, the environment, the food, everything is in that little seed of desire. So what it is that you want comes with it. The means, the money, everything. You just can't see it yet. It unfolds like a seed. So many people can't see the oak tree in the acorn. They don't have enough faith. That's why Jesus called faith, it's a mustard seed of faith. You find a mustard seed, you don't realize what that tiny little thing represents. It represents potential. So your desire represents potential, which is really what you are. You are unrealized potential. So many of us have a desire which feels like a predicament. How am I going to do that? And so we can't see the oak tree in the acorn, and we think, abort it. Don't plant it. Don't let it be conceived in your womb. Don't get excited about it. Don't nurture it. It's impossible that an acorn contains the grandeur of an oak tree. And faith sees that. It sees the fully realized potential in a seed. And a desire is a seed. And you are the midwife, the conduit, the channel, and the map, and the way, and the truth, and the light, and everything that's needed, including the money, including the skills, all of it, in an instant is contained in that desire. So, must you be afraid of your desire? Must you doubt your desire? Only if you don't have an expanded consciousness and understand how everything in the universe, in you, everything works embryonically, gestationally. You get it? So making ends meet is simply allowing the desire to grow without encumbrances, without trying to breathe. You were never handed the responsibility of supporting yourself. There's no such thing. I know when you were a baby, it seemed like your mother took care of you, but your mother is no different than you. Who mothers the mother? People say, well, God mothers the mother. Well, why doesn't God mother everybody? Because the mother doesn't realize they're God. You see, the mother doesn't realize she's the universe. The baby knows that they are God, but they can't necessarily articulate that because they're one with consciousness. A baby is completely and innocently the universe. And then the universe, or me, I start developing this image of me, this likeness of me, which is very convincing because it has a shell. And it makes me look different. And I'm not convinced by differences anymore. So that's what it means to make ends meet. The differences cease. And you don't have to struggle to do that. It just comes through. This idea of awakening, this idea of being enlightened, and this idea of wisdom, just like everything in the universe builds from within the kingdom, within. All it is complete and total blind trust. The desires of your heart cannot be denied, and you can't say no to it. You can't stop evolution. You can't stop what the universe is doing. It seems like you can. Doubt, you think the universe, are you really stopped by your own doubts? No. You are not. You are to overcome your doubts and fears, and you are. So your desires aren't predicaments. Your desires are predictions. Your desires are innocent. Your desires are freely given. They will fructualize. They will fruit on their own. There's no frustration of potential. You've never been able to stop yourself. You cannot create an obstacle for yourself bigger than you. Nor can you create a desire that you cannot fulfill. That's what's interesting. The circuitous map of how do we get from point A to point B is as mysterious as how the universe evolves. See, we don't know how the universe evolves. We know that it evolves. Nobody knows how the Big Bang began. We just know that it began. We don't know how the universe is expanding and powering itself. We know that it does. So you know that your desire is going to be fulfilled. And you can't stop it because you don't even know how it's going. How can you stop it when you don't even realize how it's moving? It's moving and breathing and having its own momentum without the likeness of you. The likeness of you. The image of you. Which it says in the Bible, we're made in the image and likeness of God. There's no such thing as that. There's no difference between the creature and the creation or the observer and the observed. And there's no difference between you and your desire. There's no difference between you and how your desire is going to become real. Because it's being birthed into an illusion, into a hologram. You see? So I hope this helps you understand that to make ends meet is to cease this idea of me and my desire, me and the universe, me and some God out there that needs to make something happen for me. You don't need to support yourself. How does the universe make a living? How does the universe support itself? It's self-sustained. It's self-supporting. It's innocent. It's autonomous. It's completely balanced and in harmony. When you sync up to that truth, all struggle stops. Desires are no longer predicaments, but predictions. I hope you enjoyed these insights, and I hope that you'll check out my blog or my books on Amazon. I appreciate you watching the channel. And so, we'll see you next time.